Hi everybody, welcome to another career tutorial. I'm cripeman, and what we're going to do this time through is we're going to look at different lighting in Carrera. Now, Carrera has a lot of different lighting options, and each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. Let's look at some of those right now. First of all, let's look at our spotlight. Now, the spotlight is probably my most favorite light in the whole bunch. It's versatile. It gives an effect right away. Most of the scenes that I do are kind of close up, and it there's a nice has a nice gradation uh, that it does that I'm particularly fond of. Now you notice that there are different options right here, and the way that it gives the effects that it gives is you have little sliders here. You can adjust your half angle, which is the amount of light that is entering your scene. You have control over that. See how that is. Um, your angular fall off, you take that away, it takes your soft shadow away. So I have a little angular fall off. It'll make you like your spotlight a little more. Now, if you're doing a spotlight, one of the things that that is really cool about the spotlight is uh, you can make it point to the thing that it's lighting by using a modifier. Just go to modifier and then point at PAL, and then you select what you want it to point at. In this case, it's the spot text. And now, no matter where you move your light, it will always look at the object that you want it to point at, which is one of the reasons that I want it to be, that I like it a whole lot. Now, something else about all your lights is they all have brightness, and they all cast shadows at different intensities. Now, this is something that you want to take note of if you're doing a render. Shadow intensity is kind of a big deal in 3D right now. Um, the less intense your shadows are, the more your stuff pops. Unless you're doing something really dark or whatever. But for the most part, shadow intensity is kind of fallen by the wayside. You want to kind of uh, reduce the intensity of your shadows wherever you can, and it gives you it makes it look like you're using softer shadows and that kind of thing, which is another thing. It soften the softer your shadows, the more it looks like you took more time it took for you to render. Boy, it took a long time to say all that. All right, next off, let's go ahead and go to our bulb light, which is another cool light. Bulb lights are pretty much fill lights. Um, you can fill your scene with the color of your light with your fill light. Um, I like to use it as a highlight light. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You notice that here are the settings for this. The brightness is at 60, range fall off is 45. Don't have to have a whole lot of range right there. And shadow intensity is 80. Now let's go ahead and duplicate our bulb here and put it right behind our sphere. And it's a lot better if you use multiple panes on this. I should have done that, but now brightness is still at 60%. Let's crank that up a little bit to 200. Let's go ahead and make that red. Now let's look at this. And you notice that this is the way our lights, wow, no wonder. There we go. And notice that there are two different sets of shadows, and the lights are just all everywhere. We don't want the lights to be all like that, to be everywhere like that. We want it to just affect the sphere. And we can do that by selecting our light, going to this little tab right here and doing only add sphere, kapow, and now look from this to this, and now there's just a little bit of highlight right there. And you can adjust this with your range fall off, your brightness and all that, and get just a hint of results if you want to do it like that. And it'll save on render times for it's a good way to make it look like lights bouncing around too. You can save on render times that way. Now, let's go to our tube light, which is my least favorite light, but I got to give it some props because it does have a fall off rate. You can do a linear, logarithmic, or distant squared fall off, and get some pretty dramatic effects that way. But my biggest beef with this thing, actually, if I can be honest, is that the tube light isn't shaped like a tube. It's supposed to cover. It's supposed to cover. Uh, Areas in. It's kind of a directional light. It's kind of supposed to be like a. Oh, what do you call it? The fluorescent lights. It's supposed to have that kind of feel to it, but it doesn't look like a fluorescent light. It looks more like a bulb. Um, that's my beef. But other than that, it does have linear rate. It does have distant squared and logarithmic. Linear is pure light. There's no break in it. It goes for the length of the light, the length that you want it to go. Distant squared, it halves it uh, according to the distance. The farther away it gets, the more it's halved. Kind of hard to explain. Logarithmic. This is kind of like the way I figure it is it's a light bouncing thing. I don't know. It may be in the manual. I'm not really sure, but like I said, tube light. There's too much that isn't known about the tube light for me to like it that much. I can get the results I want with the other lights. Now, our last light is our distance light. Oh, our distant light, and our distant light can be used to set the tone for the scene. The distant light you can make it super bright. You can do a lot of different things. Well, actually, you can't do a whole lot of different things. You can do brightness and shadow intensity, and that's it. And you can change the color, which is what it's good for. Your distant light, you can kind of set the tone with it, for fiery stuff and that kind of thing. And you'll want to use other lights, you know, have that set the tone and have your other lights help you set the tone with it. But for the most part, if you're doing portraits or you're trying to do a close-up render, uh, take your distant light out of it and just use your other lights. Um, the distant lights shadows are too hard. It's a basic uncontrollable light source, and yeah, you can get a lot more control from the other lights. So anyway, that's pretty much your basics on lights. Uh, Check them out. They uh, they all have their strengths and their weaknesses, and you'll find those out once you get to know them. Anyway, that's it for this time. I'm cripeman, and I'll talk to you again later.